a couple of guests, and today we have our first one, and this is kind of a little bit of a twist for me because she normally interviews me most weeks on her show. I'm a regular on her station. I harass it all the time, so I thought best place to start is with my wonderful friend Ngunan. Say hello.
Hi, love.
So how are you?
You know what? I'm feeling good.
Okay.
Feeling good because I've been working hard and everything is happening the way I want it to.
Yes, this is all what I want to speak about today. But first, so how does it feel to be being interviewed?
It's weird.
Okay, tell the listeners a little bit more as of why.
You know, it's weird being on the other side because I'm so used to prodding and poking and wanting information that it's weird this one's trying to get information from me. And I didn't realise how shy I can get during interviews. So yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about your business and everything else. So I think the further along as you progress, you know, I'm guessing you're going to be doing a lot of interviews, aren't you? And a lot of speaking, you know, about what you do.
Definitely. I've done like interviews for universities and it's weird because they always actually, let me go back because I got interviewed for prison radio.
Okay.
And that was like the first proper radio interview that I did. And it was a women's prison radio up in, I think it was Style Prison. And they asked me like really deep personal questions about like who inspired me. And I got really emotional, you know, because I'd never really talked about it. So and I think because I was in prison as well, knowing what those women were going through, I really got emotional. Okay,
so I want to delve a little bit more about this then. So let's go to that then, because I was going to ask you that a little bit later, but I'll ask you now anyway. So inspiration, so where does that come from?
You know what, on my mum's side, my nan especially, like my grandparents were everything to me, but my nan was like, she was my mum.
Okay.
You know, and she was so strong. And because I was really quiet. As a kid.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and she kind of said, if Ngunan stays like this, that's all she thought about was men would take advantage of me, because they always laugh and say that if you pushed me, I would like literally fall on their side, so I would never fight back.
And you're so not that person.
Honestly,
now.
And my mum said she literally trained you like Rocky to not take any kind of, you know, from anyone.
So do we think, going back to them early days then, that's why you are so passionate about working with women then?
Well, you know what, I asked my mum the same question, funny enough, just last week, because I said to her, I just don't understand where I get this feeling from to want to support other women, and I've got love for empowering other women. And she said to me that on her side, my grand-auntie, she was a feminist, but she used to ride a horse in Nigeria.
Oh my God.
And she wouldn't, you know, and look after women, and if they needed money, she'd give them money. So she was like, it's always been in our family blood, and the women are very strong as well. So I said to her, why is it taking you 37 years to tell me about this amazing woman? You know, and I was like, she was on a horse. And she was like, yeah, she used to ride the horse through the town, and everyone knew her.
So there's a video of Beyonce and she run the world and she's riding.
You know what I mean? Maybe I need to get a horse in Liverpool.
Right down Hanover Street. Okay, just you know, I didn't even know. Obviously, there's loads of stuff you've probably done that I don't know about, because I always come in and talk about myself. But that, especially with going into the prisons, you know, first of all, why do you think radio then would be important in a prison?
You know what, I've travelled quite a bit in different parts of the world, and radio, it captures your imagination for one, because you've got no visual aid whatsoever, and you always imagine what that person might look like, and you can really pay attention to the words. So one of the big things for me is I used to love listening to radio, especially music, and listen deep to the lyrics and think, oh, I wish I was that girl, you know, who Joe's singing to, or R. Kelly. Maybe not R. Kelly, but but you know, I think radio really captures the imagination, and it just takes you into like this parallel universe, like reading a book.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of paint a picture in your head. So I've always been passionate about radio, and I think in prisons, one of the big things that they do is the prisoners can what's the word, request songs that maybe remind them of certain parts of their life, or remind them of like their kids and things like that. So it really touches the soul, you know. So I'm a
So
big
kind
fan.
of a rehabilitation process, isn't
Yeah.
it? And you've got to look at people not reoffending or whatever else. So if you're given a support system while they're in there, obviously music is a great way to, you know, to uplift people and make them feel good.
Exactly. So so looking at it in that way, and then being interviewed by prisoners, it really touched me. It really did.
Okay, so why radio? Why did you go into radio?
You know what? It was by accident, actually, because I initially went to uni so I could be a political journalist. So in my head is either I was going to be a print journalist, so write for newspapers, or I was going to be like a war reporter and be on TV.
Okay.
Like that in Iraq or somewhere, or Croatia. So I remember I was doing a project years ago, and part of that project you had to go on radio, and it was back in the day when we had Talk and Toxteth, which was based on Lodge Lane with Tony Tiger, and we had to go in as part of Black History Month, and I decided that I wanted to research unknown black scientists and inventors. And when I was on air, I just had this it was like this light bulb moment, and I thought, this is where I'm meant to be, literally.
Oh my God.
You know. And I thought, we always say this, nothing's ever an accident, is it?
No.
It's never coincidental. It's meant to be. And I remember thinking, I love this. And then when I did my work experience in TV for the BBC, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I mean, I will jump in, you know, head first with anything and make the best of a bad situation. But what I didn't like was just the way some of the producers spoke to like the runners and researchers, and there wasn't that sense of respect in a way.
Okay.
You know, and I thought, I don't want to be here, because one of the reasons why I wanted to be a journalist in the first place was to tell people's stories, not be that kind of hard news journalist who would make people cry on air, or, you know, door knock anyone who'd lost a child, whatever. So that kind of sealed it for me, really. And I thought, yeah, if the opportunity to work in radio doesn't come up, you know, I'll stay in TV. But then it did. So it was kind of like God was answering, like, more or less just said, this is for you, you know. So
What I kind of love about stations like this, and the station you're on as well, it's very much community focused, and people can come, you can talk about local things, you can have local artists played, you know, it's a free space to express yourself. Do you feel probably more comfortable in radio environment like that?
yeah, because I couldn't imagine myself doing like network. So networks like Radio 1, Radio 2, all them big ones. I love Liverpool. I love local radio. And if I wasn't here, I probably would have started my own community radio.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? And I think for me, it's never been about fame or money. It's always been about talking to the community, telling people stories, letting other people know that these people exist, you know, and just celebrating them in some way. And even if it's like a hard story, I always want to support them and help them tell their story, you know, in an easy way and comfortable way for them. So I couldn't imagine not doing local radio. And next year, I think it's January 14th, will be 5 years that I've been here. Yeah.
Wow. So with starting things, as you said, you'd start a radio station. I know you've been starting a little something, which is a big something over the last couple of years, but it's really exploded of late. So do you want to tell our listeners about your own business and what you've been doing?
So I've got a social enterprise, and it's called
our listeners who maybe don't understand what a social enterprise is, do you want to give them a little insight to that?
So yeah, an entrepreneur obviously is someone who is, you know, will have a business to generate income, make money. But a social entrepreneur is an entrepreneur who has a business for the community, whether they're disadvantaged, disengaged, kind of left behind by society in some way, or not getting those opportunities, and you're there to kind of uplift them in a way. So my social enterprise is iWoman. And iWoman has been in the making for like 3 years.
I know.
And well, you know, blood, sweat and tears, isn't it? And last year I launched it, iWoman Academy, based on fact. And it's a radio academy, but using radio production and communication skills as a wellbeing tool for unemployed women over the age of 19. And it's funny because I actually went back to uni and did a PGCE to start this, because I didn't want to shortchange the women who were coming on, because I thought anyone, you know, can teach, but I really want to understand how the curriculum worked and schemes of work and, so, you know, session plans and, you know, really give it to them. And that killed me, because I went from working full time, earning a fantastic wage, living in Manchester in a gorgeous apartment by the canal, to moving back in with my mum as a single mum, working part time and literally like scrimping. You know, and I say this, I was skint. Do you know what I mean? But I made it work because I believed in my vision. I believed in myself and what I was in my heart, what I was supposed to do for these women. You know, so we're a year old now already.
Congratulations.
Which is crazy, because I never thought I'll be a year old. You know, it's been mad. But because I took a risk on myself, other people have started taking a risk on me as well.
Yeah, you find that, don't you? There's kind of a knock-on effect. So that's sparked a good few questions for me. But first is obviously, you know, I understand the benefits of radio and what that links to well-being. But for people who are interested in, you know, who carry some issues, or will be, you know, all of us do. But I mean, in general, if someone wanted to understand of how the benefits of getting involved in a radio program could help their well-being, do you want to explain a little bit as to how and why?
Well, one of the things that I say to my ladies is that you are telling a story that can encourage someone else. Because when they first come to me, it's all about, oh, I can't do it. It's always, I can't. Or everyone's going to laugh at me. And all, you know, and even these are older women who, for some reason, they've always been told that they can't. And it follows them, you know, through to like their 60s. So as a well-being tool, you're learning so much, like all the technical stuff that you would never think you could do. You're doing all of that. You know, understanding research and how to do an interview gives you the confidence as well. And the exciting part of my academy is, even though they do like a music program, which they absolutely love. So we had like a rock show, an Afrobeat show, a gospel show, which they all pick themselves and they have to present it themselves. They also have to do like a health piece. So health stories that matter to everyday women, and anywhere in the world you could listen to it and say, you know what, I didn't know that, or I knew somebody that was suffering from that, but I didn't know how bad it was or how curable it was and things like that. So for example, some of the topics that ladies are doing, one of them is like sex and older age.
Okay.
And we have mad discussions. It's hilarious. Then we're looking at toxic shock syndrome, you know, like if you use a tampon and things like that. We're looking at depression. How can some people, when they, you know, when they're stressed, can actually deal with it, you know, that kind of makes stress your friend, whereas other people, it can lead them to depression.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all these kind of like hard-hitting topics that your average woman on the street is covering and having to interview an expert. And because they've done the research, it's more like a conversation. So even though the expert's saying something, they're going, but what about this?
Yeah.
They kind of sound like politicians sometimes.
Yeah, and making it in a comfortable environment.
Yeah, and so that research skill that you're picking up, you can transfer that into your everyday life.
Yeah.
You know, and it's making sure that you understand positive research, not that kind of research where you always think you're going to die. Do you know what I mean? Oh, I've got this headache, I'm going to die, you know.
So, speaking of research, and if anyone wants to research as to where they can find you or more information about the programme, where can we find that?
At the moment, I'm only on Facebook.
Okay.
But I'm currently getting a website built and a whole new branding. So so next year, it's going to be a whole new Woman.
Okay.
So proper, like, nice website, videos, got loads of videos, but we're on Facebook.
Okay, so for now, find us on Facebook.
Yeah, Woman Academy, and we're there, and there's loads of nice pics of the women, and it's very diverse. We've got Muslim women from Nigeria, Uganda, Poland, Liverpool, America. We've got them, yeah. So
speaking before, and you may know of blood, sweat and tears, when you set something up, what was your drive and what continues to drive you?
You know what's crazy, and it's my little boy.
Okay.
Because when I was pregnant with him, because it wasn't planned. So when I was pregnant with him, I remember thinking, I need to have like a proper contract with the BBC. That's what I kept on thinking. I don't want to be
For security,
you know. And But then when I saw him, I just thought, I want more for him. So what kind of society do I want him to grow up in? What kind of legacy do I want to leave behind? And then I started thinking of how other women must feel if they were a single parent and trying to get back into work. And I thought, you know what? Radio gave me confidence, and how can I transfer that into like a project, you know? And literally that's what it was. And even like when I was skinned, in my head I thought, as long as he's well dressed, he's clean, that's all that matters. My bills are paid, everything else can wait, because I didn't realise how much I was actually spending on myself. You know, like with clothes and eating out, and so I had to kind of pull back a little bit, and that was it. So I'll say he's my driver. Yeah.
You know, because that's a lot of challenges. If you look at, you know, having to move back home, you've reduced your job down to 1 day a week, you're a single parent, you're trying to launch a business and, you know, do a PGC all, you know, at that time. That's challenging. You know, you're running from many different things. So in the harder times, you know, was there ever a point where you thought, I can't do this? Or
Loads, absolutely loads. It's funny because I remember I was in the BBC, and I was working, and I remember sitting at my desk thinking, I can't do this. Why am I doing this to myself? This is so hard. And then I got an email from a lady that I worked on a project with. It was a BBC project with the British Council, and she's a massive TV and radio presenter in Ghana. Haven't spoke to her in years. She dropped me a line and was like, hi Ngunan, was just thinking about you. Things are really going well for me in Ghana. If you ever need me to do anything and you want to come over, let me know. I'm always here. And I thought, that is scary.
Wow. And it's, I mean, obviously, you know, we're both great believers in the universe and everything happens for a reason, but it's like something comes to you just when you need it, you know. So I suppose the message is just keep going. But, you know, it's, you know, you said, you know, obviously you had a really influential grandmother, you were able to move back home, you know, you had a son that was, you know, a real hook and a driving force, but still, you know, it's challenging. But maybe, you know, what would you say to people who maybe don't have a son, but they could be a young 17, 18-year-old who's starting out, or it could be someone who's in the 50s and wants to launch a business or change your career? I mean, what would you say to them to keep going?
So on my signature, email signature, one of my quote, it says, it doesn't matter how slow you go as long as you don't stop. And I did that for myself because I realised that I can't go as fast as everyone else, and we're all built differently. We've all got different challenges. As long as you keep doing, you know, taking those baby steps, you'll eventually get there. And even once you launch, you're always going to have competition. You know, but it's just to carry on going, because you're an individual and no one is like you. You know, I gave a talk the other day, and I was saying that your USP is what people want. You know, people want that. So if you change yourself to suit what you think you should be, you're not going to do. You've lost it, and then you can't be your true authentic self. And I think, especially being 17, it's very challenging. And even if you don't know what you want to do, don't stop. Just do little things, because I always believe that the little things that you do will lead you to where you're supposed to be. So I worked, you know, my first ever job was McDonald's. When everyone else was laughing at me, I didn't even care.
Yeah, it's money.
Do you know what I mean?
I was. You can have a great career there as well.
Exactly.
You know, look at the massive change.
Do you know what I mean? I was in McDonald's. Through McDonald's, I was doing overtime shifts. I was going to college. I bought my first mobile phone, an Sony Ericsson Flip, £150 back in those days, 1996.
You were rocking it, weren't you?
I bought that with my McDonald's money.
Well done, you.
Do you know what I mean? I even went to America with my Mackey's money. So when everyone else was laughing at me, I was like, in your face. So it's not about being embarrassed about where you are. And even for me now, I couldn't be embarrassed going back home, because I knew that I needed to take that step back to move forward. And I've literally taken one step back and I've moved forward 10,000 steps.
And you see that in our country, and obviously you've mentioned America, like a lot of British people's outlook, or what you see it is, if it's a failure, it's an absolute disaster. But, you know, you've mentioned America, and you see, you know, when people fail there, it's kind of celebrated that they get back up and go. It's like built into this resilience. And what do you think the difference is then between here and there? Why?
I think what I'm disappointed with in the UK, especially if you are a business owner, is if you fail, the banks won't trust you again with any funding, any kind of money. Whereas in the States, the more you fail, the more the banks want to invest in you, because in their heads they're thinking, well, you've learnt your mistake, we want to invest in you again. And it's that to them, it's, you'll always pick yourself up. We want to support you to pick yourself up. And most millionaires, billionaires have had several falls.
Fallbacks, yeah.
You know, whereas in this country, it's an embarrassment. You know, I remember saying to some students, I got a 3rd class degree at uni, and for 5 years I didn't tell anyone that I got a 3rd class degree, because I was so embarrassed, because everyone else was going, oh, I got a 1st, I got a 2nd, but I got a 3rd, and look what I've done with my 3rd class degree.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So for me, I've never allowed other people to tell me who I am. I've just believed in the power of the universe and gone, if this is meant to be my path, I'm going to just keep on pushing through, and it's worked out for me. So, but I know how hard it is when you've never had the kind of family that I probably have.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's about surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals. So if you don't kind of have that in your inner circle, go and seek it, because you know, as we both know, a lot of people will support if you want a conversation to advice and guidance.
And let people go. People who aren't good for you, let them go. Because if you've got dreams and then someone else is going, nah, you can't do that, or laughing at you, then those are not friends. Because if you decide you want to be an engineer, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a manager at McDonald's or Burger King, and someone laughs at you, then they should not be your friend. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. So from all what you've said, you know, and all the journey you've been on, from when you look at the early days of being at school to, you know, your degree and everything you spoke about today, what do you feel you've learned?
Oh my goodness, I'm still learning.
Okay.
I'm still learning. I've learned that it's good to be nice. Do you know what I mean? It's good to, I always say, the way I talk to our cleaners is exactly the same way I talk to our Director General. I don't change, because everyone deserves respect. Doesn't matter who you are. And I realised as well that people want to work with nice people. People want to do business with nice people. And you could have all the degrees in the world, but you could still be dumb. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've learned that education isn't everything. It's about being a good person and having a passion for something. I've learned about paying it forward. No matter how small it is, if you've got a skill or advice that can support or help someone else, give it.
And it feels nice when you do it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love talking, as you can tell.
No, I love this, and it's been great to listen.
You know, I love talking, and I love, you know, I've made so many different friends along my journey. Some people that I never ever thought that we would gel, I've gelled with them. I've learned to take my time, you know, because I was always in a rush.
Yeah.
I've learned to literally just stop and take in my surroundings and look after my mental health.
And that's difficult in a fast-moving world, especially a world of media, and you know, things change in an instant. It's hard to do, isn't it?
It is, because when you start your own business, or even when you're in this industry, everyone's competitive. So you think that you've got to be like that. And I remember someone actually said to me, you're too nice. You're too nice. If you're too nice, you're not going to survive here. I've been here now 11 years.
And you have, yeah.
And I have. And
it's about having that mindset, isn't it? You know, you have a thick skin and you understand, you know, of getting your points across and what you want to do and your goals. But at the same point, you know, you don't have to be horrible with it.
No, and I've had people talk to me like, oh, it's an industry where you will get like short-tempered people, people who think that they are better than you, and because, you know, you are a black woman or you're from Liverpool, so you get all of that. And so in my head, I didn't want them to win. So you can talk to me how you want, but I had the bigger picture, because I thought, you're not going to last long. And for you to disrespect me or anyone else, that means you're not happy. So I used to think, oh, forget you, and just keep on going. So yeah, I've learned so much about just taking your time.
So one thing you've done, which is absolutely massive, you've took your brand international.
Yeah.
You know, well done. But why did you decide to take it further afield?
I realised that we are pretty privileged in this country in some way. And I wanted the women to know that there's other women. We're all the same. No matter what country you go to in the world, we are all suffering the same. We are all fighting for equality. We all have similar issues, you know, whether it's your marriage, whether it's your children, whether it's your health. We all have the same issues, and I needed the women, especially in Liverpool, to see that as well. So it's definitely something that I wanted to share, you know, and the response has been fantastic. But you know, Liverpool is my home, and it's always going to be like my HQ, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd love to take the women here at some point to places like India and Kenya and Nigeria. So I'd love that exchange at some, you know, in some ways. So I'm thinking about that as well.
Okay, which leads me on to my last question then. I love to ask people this question is, and obviously over time it'll change, but where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
Oh, goodness. You know, it's weird because I didn't see myself here, you know.
But I'll challenge that, because you must have secretly, when you were visualising what you wanted to do, but it's like dare to dream, you know.
You know what? I knew I wanted to be. It's funny because I wanted to be a presenter, but so many people said to me, you know, your accent, you know, all these things. And I thought, leave my accents alone. So I always knew that I would do it. I never imagined I'd still be here after 5 years. That is still a shock to me, because I think, oh my God, they like me. But in 5
years from now,
5 years from now, I see iWoman being a franchise.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a franchise. I see iWoman, you know, influencing policies, you know, and hopefully just other women wanting to do similar things to me. Not exactly radio, but looking at what I've achieved and going, I want to be that Oprah. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I want people to go, God, can we get Ngunan to talk? I mean, I do talks now, but internationally, I want to be with the UN. I want to be, you know, with the World Health Organization, talking about women's well-being and media. I want to be that. I want to be a really big international respectable voice with this brand that actually says what it is on the tin.
So you speak, and I can see, you know, for our listeners, I can see with how much passion you're saying this. And so why is that so important to you? You know, obviously you've set up a social enterprise. This is about giving back. You want to go and give these talks. You want to be a voice. You know, a lot of people don't want to do this. You know, why do you want to give so much?
You know what, I feel it's weird because ever since I was a kid, I hated bullies, you know, so I was always about people. I would fight the bully, you know, and it's funny. So the school I went to used to have like a reception, but the reception was for kids with special needs. Because I was only 5, 6. So I was one of the only kids that would play with them. And I think it was like every Tuesday, they would have like a mini fair in their classroom, and they would have to tell the teacher who they wanted to invite from that class. So my name used to get picked all the time. God. So then all the other kids started being nice to them because they wanted to go to that fair and have those cupcakes and have the chocolates and play the little games. So it's that kind of domino effect. If everyone else can see how selfless, you know, you can be and still gain so much, then I have that kind of ripple effect. Do you know what I mean? So I've always been a lover of people, you know. And I was talking to someone yesterday who's gay, and I was saying to him, even when I was in school, a lot of my male friends were gay, but we didn't know what that was, you know. But growing up, I'm part of the gay community, even though I'm not gay. Does that make sense? So for me, it's always, I don't know, I've always wanted to be with real people who shared similar
values.
Do you know what I mean? And not be ashamed to be someone else's friend because they're different. So that's always been me. So for me, it's like, what can I do to encourage that, to literally catapult that even further? So I just get the biggest smile on my face just meeting different people.
Well, I can tell,
You
and
know.
that's a beautiful quality. So something that puts a smile on our face, we are all about the music. And this is what we do. So your first song of our show today is what, and why have you picked it?
I've picked dbanj and Rhythm of the Night, and it's an 80s track. And I always remember being a kid listening to it and thinking, oh my goodness, this is like the best song ever. It made me really love music more than it did, and have fun with it. So I used to think, oh, I can't wait to get older so I can party like that and have those shoulder pads. So it's a nice childhood memory for me.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely love them.
You introduced the track then?
So this is dbanj, Rhythm of the Night.
Well done. Okay, Ngunan, so back to our music. Your second track of our show is what?
Prince.
Oh,
I love
absolute classic. I mean, he's a legend. I mean, he's one of the greats that we've just lost of late. So what track is it of Prince?
I Would Die For You.
Okay, and obviously he's got a catalogue bigger than anyone.
Yeah.
Why this track?
Because one, I always say, you know, about loving people, but also when I was pregnant, I used to play this to Doyum all the time, and I used to play this to my little boy.
Did you know he was going to be a boy then? Did you?
I'm trying to think. Did I? I can't even remember. You know.
Okay.
I think I did. And I remember putting the headphones on my stomach and thinking, I really hope he's listening to this. I used to play like Prince and Maxwell and all them tracks. But I'm a big super Prince fan. But I Would Die For You was like on repeat all the time. And funny enough, now that I got Prince's greatest hits, he always rewinds it.
I was just going to ask you, does he connect to that
He
track?
loves it.
Amazing.
Loves it.
Well, I think you should introduce the track, and I think you should dedicate this one to your little boy.
So this is Prince, and it's for my little baby Doyum, and this is I Would Die For You.
Okay, Ngunan, so our last track that you've brought in today is what and why?
dbanj.
Okay.
And it's called Fall in Love. dbanj, if no one knows, is an Afrobeat artist from Nigeria. And the reason why I chose this song is I remember I was in Nigeria, it was years ago, and with my family in a drinking parlour, and it came on and everyone was made up with it, and I was like, oh my god, this. So every time I listen to it, it just reminds me of home. Do you know what I mean? Even though Liverpool's my home, it's just, you know, that's where my family is, like my extended family, like my cousins and stuff, and I just love it. Yeah, so after it just reminds me of good times and having drinking food.
Okay, well, introduce it then, away we go.
So this is my final track, and it's dbanj, and it's Fall in Love.
Well, Ngunan, we've come to the end of our show. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you in. You are the first person I ever interviewed on radio. It's been a pleasure to have you. We're going to follow closely of the work that you're doing. We told all our listeners to check out on Facebook how they can find out more about your project and what you do. Listening to Ngunan's own show on a Sunday night as well, guys. Check it out. And we all have to agree here in the studio. We're going to give it a round of applause. A very remarkable and inspiring young lady. It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
Are we done?